Welcome back to Teach Man to Fish channel. Today's video, we're going to be harvesting potatoes out in the garden. Let's go ahead and get started.
We go back to February and the garden prep. This year I used this beautiful cotton gin waste. It adds a lot of nitrogen, nutrients to the soil. It's just good for the overall garden growth.
So I got these potatoes in just a little bit late, probably about 3 weeks late, so I was a little bit worried about whether or not the potatoes were gonna have enough time to form the tubers. They never did bloom, and here we are on June 20th. We're gonna go ahead and dig up those potatoes. You never know until you unearth them whether or not it was a good potato year. I've had crops that have completely failed, and sorry for the dirty hands, I've already been doing some work in the garden, but I've had some crops that were complete and total failures. I've had some that were rock stars. I've had years with potato beetles. I've had years with none, like this year, no potato beetles. We'll go ahead and start to unearth and see what's down in there.
There's a couple of different strategies for planting. I use a mound and a hill method with holes cut in the weed barrier, and these hills are excellent at shedding off water. There was a significant amount of rain this spring, and the potatoes ended up not getting rotten. The water shedded off well. I am struggling with stink bugs this year. That's a little pot of stink bug eggs, but they typically don't mess with potatoes too much. But the rest of the garden, especially that squash, seems to be stink bug magnets. Here you can see those tops of the potatoes starting to die off, putting their energy down into the tubers. If you like the gear and equipment that we use in our videos, take a look in the description down below and you can see where you can purchase them. Those lighter colored potatoes, those are the Yukon Golds, which are my favorite potato. But at the same time, in the potato bin back in March, I had some going to root, putting some eyes out. So I just went ahead and threw some russets in as well, just a couple of russets. And they came out pretty good. Probably the largest potato that I got was actually a russet. There's just something about finding these potatoes in the ground as you go through. It's kind of like finding gold. The satisfaction in every time you find that potato is pretty fulfilling. Whoops, this is kind of frustrating when you actually end up splitting a potato in half and wasting one. I hate it when that happens.
Well, there's some prolific bee activity. Definitely something different going on since I now have those beehives here on the property. Speaking of beehives, I'll do a real quick update on the beehive activity that we have. I was asked by a subscriber to go ahead and give an update on that. I trapped one more hive and now have 4 hives, with one of them being a split. I did lose a swarm, but the hive seems to be chugging along. I'm hoping they make a new queen. I've built new top bar boxes.
If you'd like to follow my novice bee adventures, I've got a playlist of those videos you can check out. I did have a couple of potatoes in all that rain that did go rotten. It wasn't many.
So here you can see where some of the nibbles were taken out of that potato by a vole. And as I'm digging up all throughout these, there are vole tunnels that run along, and I do battle those in this garden. Maybe someday I'll do a video on how to combat voles in your garden. Next harvest will probably be the cabbage, or maybe the first planting of beans will be coming up soon. What a great cabbage year, though.
I look forward to making the cabbage recipe videos in the future.
So at this point, we'll let these sit in the shade, and that will cure the skins. That's what came out of my potato harvest, 20 or 30 plants.
If you don't allow the potatoes the time to cure in the shade, the skins will peel right off.
So now that I've got this nice big hole in the garden, and it's the end of June, what would you plant in there for a late summer, early fall crop? I'm thinking tomatoes. Comment down below on what you think would be a good crop to put in there. So YouTube says that this video is perfect for your viewing habits. This is my latest upload, and over here is a playlist that I think you might like. If you did enjoy it, please click like, subscribe, share, and come on back for more.